Hello, family. My name is James Trice, and I'm the creator of a podcast called YANA, or You Are Not Alone. You Are Not Alone is a podcast for Black men. It is more than just a podcast. It's a lifeline and a brotherhood. We're here to create a supportive, judgment-free space where Black men can have real, open conversations about what truly matters to us, from family and relationships to community, sports, culture, politics, faith, sex, race, education, and the challenges of everyday life. We dive deep into it all. Whether you're looking for advice, motivation, prayer, or just a comfort of knowing you're not walking this journey alone. YANA is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard, because none of us are meant to do life alone. Look for new episodes weekly wherever you get your podcasts. And look for me on Instagram at jbtrice123. Welcome to YANA. Grace and peace, everyone. This is James Trice. Welcome to another episode of YANA, You Are Not Alone. Again, it's a space for we as Black men to come together and in an uncensored, judgment-free space to talk about the issues that matter most to us from our perspective. It's a place for us to be real, to be heard, to be listened to, and to express ourselves. And it's a space for us to walk this journey of life together because we're not meant to do life alone. And so today's guest, we have VJ Smith, Reverend VJ Smith, with us today. And I would like him to briefly introduce yourself, VJ, and say a little bit about who you are.
Well, thank you. Thank you, my brother James Trice. Man, you know, we go way back like an old Cadillac. That's how far we go back. And it's just really good to be with you. You know, born in 1955 in Kansas City, Missouri, grew up there, separated from my mom and dad at the early age of 9 years old. And at 9 years old, I was in the foster system quite a bit. Got out of the foster system, got with one family. Just before high school graduation, I was kicked out of that home. So I graduated from high school in a hotel. I was determined not to be a dropout. After high school, I worked a little bit as a security guard and didn't like the racism. It wasn't good. But so unfortunately, I decided to be in organized crime. Was in organized crime until the early 80s, was in organized crime, came to Minnesota to get a fresh new start on life, but ended up really still being involved a little bit there. And then at one point, I got saved. I got saved and turned my life around. And when I turned my life around, I became a member of Shiloh Temple International Ministries and became to give back to the community and then began to be a crime fighter. And I was a crime fighter for over 30 years. And so my life has been a story. My book will be coming out soon. And James, I'm sure you'll be one of the first to get the book.
Oh, yes. That's definitely going to happen, brother. Wow, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, wow. You said so much in there, man. I'm trying to figure out which way to go. Let me just talk about your organized crime just a little bit, and then how you transitioned into giving your life to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Well, organized crime for me was a way of life. It was what I knew in Kansas City growing up on 41st and South Benton. It was all about, you know, getting money and being around people that the OGs taught me everything I knew from gambling to hustling to transporting narcotics to all that, you know, to purchasing, selling guns and all that kind of stuff. So I was involved in all that, you know, and I was organized crime is different from gang banging. Gang banging is gangsters. They gang bang. I was in organized crime, which is, means that we wore suits, we professional, and we did things in a professional manner, and everybody had their own position in what they do. And you learn to be respectful. One of the biggest things we were learned and taught was always respect women, always respect the children, always respect your elders, and always, if you have to take a hit, it's your hit, and take it. So I learned that you know, you have to be careful who you trust. I ended up doing a lot of stuff in different states and had to move around, and so just to prevent myself from going to the penitentiary. I was able to do that. And when I was on the run once, I went to Oklahoma City. And in Oklahoma City, the pastor trusted me and he said, you know, You come to church every Sunday. Why don't you open up the church for us? He gave me keys to the door, and I got baptized. And he asked me, "What's your name?" And I said, I didn't want to tell him because I had a bunch of them. But anyway, uh, through through that process, I did tell him, and he said, he said, "Man, you about you that God's going to do something for you." And one of the things that happened is that I was living in an apartment complex, and everybody was fighting each other. And I asked the manager, "Can I change this? Can I do something to change this?" She said, "Whatever you can do would help because I'm scared of these people." I changed. I started working with the kids, and then I started working with the families and started bringing people together, doing events and stuff. And I started doing that, and then I called the police department and said, "Man, y'all looking for me? Because God told me just call, see what they want. Like you running all the time, figure it out." And they weren't looking for me. And so I got on a Greyhound bus. And when I got on the Greyhound bus, everybody from that apartment complex was following the bus. They brought me gifts, and they followed the bus for
Wow.
50 miles. And so uh, God told me then, "You no longer are a drug dealer, you're a hope dealer. And if you can
Mm.
deal hope for people in that apartment complex, I'm sure that you could deal hope around the world." Not only
Wow.
was I able, not only was I able to change hope in the state of Minnesota, but then when I became the national president, I was able to do work across the country, and then even able to do international work in Korea and other places like that to
Wow.
bring hope to the community and prevent crime. So I have been blessed, and so just to be blessed like that, and to be at the age of 70, I've done some things, so I feel real good.
Wow. Well, you said something about national president. National president of what? I didn't. Of what? What were
the
you
na-
national
the
president
national
of?
president of a national president of Mad Dads, Men
Okay.
Against
Okay.
Destruction, Defending Against Drugs and Social Disorder. We brought the national office from Omaha, Nebraska, and Omaha, Nebraska it went to Florida, and then from Florida it came to went from Jacksonville, Florida. It came to Minnesota, and now the national office is under the leadership of Pittsburgh now. So.
Okay.
I was the national president of Mad Dads. Absolutely.
Are you still playing that role, or do you play some role in Mad Dad still?
No, I am not involved in Mad Dads. I am, once a Mad Dad, always a Mad Dad. But I have
Right.
my own organization called Hope Dealer International, doing
Oh wow. Okay.
consulting and yes, and doing work around the community, providing consulting work and doing other things in the community.
Okay. Okay. Um. Well, so many questions I can ask you, but I'm going to go here. What are you most passionate about? What brings you joy and satisfaction?
Well, you know what brings me joy and satisfaction is that I'll tell you a story. I came to Minneapolis probably about 3 weeks ago, and I decided I wanted to go on the block. I wanted to go on the streets. It's been a while since I've been there, and when I went on the streets, a guy went in his bag and he gave me a set of earbuds, and he said, "I know I'm still out here doing wrong, but not at the level that I used to before I met you." He said, "You changed my life, man." He said, "I'm still out here, but I'm not out here like that. I really have some purpose. I got a sense of purpose about why I do stuff and how I do it." And everywhere I went, man, on the corners of from Lake Street to Broadway, people were embracing me and telling me how much I've changed their lives and transformed them,
Wow, that's
and how I
wonderful.
made an impact on their lives. And so I'm most passionate about how do you take a person, and one of the gifts that I have that God gave me is I can talk to a person and tell if they're hurting. I can talk to a person and tell where the pain's coming from. I can talk to a person and see what direction they need to go in and give them direction. That is one of the reasons why I was so successful with turning people's lives around and being a turnaround agent, is that gift and that ability. So I'm really passionate about, even when I go out to eat, I talk to the waitress. I've had waitresses cry. I've had waiters cry just because I've been able to tell them exactly what they need to hear.
Wow. And what is that? What do you usually tell them? What do you say
Well,
to them
first,
that makes them cry? That it really it sounds like encourages them. What do you say that brings up so much emotion in their lives?
well, first of all, you ask the question, "How you doing? Are you happy? Are you doing what God called you to do? And a lot of times people say, well, I'm not sure. Or they may say, I don't know, or yeah, I don't feel happy. And
Wow,
then
that's a good question.
I can tell them this is what you need to do. You need to think about your gifts and talents. You're a gifted person. You're a talented person. You probably haven't been told that in a long time. You probably haven't been told how wonderful you are. But let me share that with you that you're wonderful and God's got a gift and a mission for you. And you just got to walk in it. And sometimes you have to ask people that love you the most, what am I good at? And they'll start spitting stuff out. You're good at this and this and this. You should look at working in that direction or doing volunteering in that direction or doing something in that direction. Give yourself a purpose besides just making a dollar. It's got to be about making sense.
Wow. So, man, you've been through a lot. You've done a lot, and you're still doing a tremendous amount of work, man, and just really touching people's lives. So, thank God for you. Given all of that, man, what you've been through, what's happening, and given the present political climate and what this nation is going through, what the world is going through right now, what are you most concerned about?
I'm concerned about our people. I'm really
Hmm.
concerned about our people because um, when our current president was running for office, you could see it was a lot of our people that were saying, "Hey, he's the man." It was a lot of our people that were saying, "This is the way to go." It was a lot of our people that were saying, "This is the best option." And we seem to always have someone doing that when we need to be unified. I'm most concerned about our unity and how we unify. I remember a time I'll share a story with you. I was raising money for the organization, and there was a white guy that's still around. He's a white guy. He's known to be with the brothers, but he also goes in those circles. And he told me, he said, VJ, I'm gonna share something with you. He says, I don't tell many people, but I'm gonna share this with you. He said, I'm in the circles with the white guys, and I hear what they say. And I'm in circle with you guys, and I hear what y'all say. He says, but I've never seen so many people fight over $10,000 grants and $15,000 grants and $20,000 grants when my counterparts we negotiating 200,000, $300,000 grants, and we're not fighting over it. We're negotiating and figure out how, if we don't get it, then what do you get, and how do we make sure you get taken care of, and how do you? He said, but you guys fight over it. You go back door and you say something to your brother, but then you come back and talk to me and say something bad about the brother. He says, why do y'all do that? And I says, I don't do it, but I know it's done, and it was just good to get that information because see, they give us kibbles and bits, and then we fight over that. We should be coming together and unifying and getting what we really need for our community.
And when he says they, what does he mean when he says they? When he says
He
y'all
was
fighting over
he was saying the brothers in leadership fight
black,
over
is he saying black men in
black
leadership?
black
Hmm.
men, and I'm not saying all because I don't want to put all
Yeah, yeah,
black men in there, but
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 generally,
in yeah, black men fight over those dollars, and in order to see if they can get it, they will put another brother down or another African American organization down to get those dollars. And so one of my tricks was, and I'll share something with you, and hopefully it will inspire another African American in this. One of my tricks was is always go to the meeting early and just put my bid in, man. When people start screaming and shouting, I've already put my bid in. I'll see y'all later, you know. And I was there 10 minutes, 30 minutes before. I helped set up the group, helped set it up, and I said, "This is what I'd like to. This is what I'd like for
right.
my community. This is what I'd like to have." You know, there's gonna be a bunch of people in there screaming and shouting and arguing, and cool, let them do that. But that wasn't my style of negotiating for my people. And if I could do something for my people, I did that, and it worked out for me.
So you mentioned that they give us kibbles and bits, right? They give us a little bit of money. So then my question would be, if they're only giving us a little bit of money, first of all, why is that? That they only give us kibbles and bits? Why do they only give us kibbles and bits? Then my question would be, why do they do that? And then my second one follow up is, then why wouldn't we fight over the little kibbles and bits we need when we know we need more than that and only giving us crumbs? Because if you
Right.
there's a concept there's this concept that if you throw a steak in the middle of hungry dogs, right? They're gonna fight over that one steak in the middle of 50 dogs who are hungry. And you throw one steak in there, the natural tendency is for them to fight over that one steak, right?
Hmm.
Why wouldn't they fight over, or why wouldn't we fight over the little bit of crumbs we get, knowing that there may not be anything else coming?
Well, and that's exactly what happened. So for me, what I did, I created a multiple of stakes. I looked for multiple stakes so that I could at least uh, get the budget, meet my budget. So if I seen them fighting over that, I would say, okay, I'll put my claim in. I'll come to the meeting early, let them know, see what's up, and then best man wins. While that, I'm at three other meetings, making sure that I can withstand. And then
Right.
I'm also trying to grow, so build capacity. And one of the things I was told a lot is that, well, VJ, you're doing a great job on the streets. You don't need to build capacity. But I looked at my peers. I looked at my peers. They were buying houses, buying building buildings, and capital fundraising, and doing the grants that we had got together when we started. We were both getting 50,000, and then they started moving up to 200 and 300,000, and I wanted to do that too. It just there was a I was you get redlined, and unfortunately, even though you want to build capacity, I wanted to have all the different, because I would connect with them and they were mentoring me as they were growing. I was saying, but I'm having trouble getting to that level because you need a team. You need to hire people. You need those professionals to work with you. But if somebody keeps saying, no, you're doing good on the streets, just stay out there. No, I know that. I did good on the streets. Now I'm moving in the suites. It's time to go from the streets to the suites. And I'm taking it to a new level. So I want people, especially our younger black men that are out there working, make sure that they don't hold you down from building capacity. You got to build capacity, and you got to get the right people on your team.
So how do you so to answer my first question now, why do they only give us the kibbles and bits? And then how do you build capacity if they only giving you kibbles and bits? Give the direction on how you do that. If they only give us kibbles and bits, how do you build capacity? And then why do they only give us as a community, black people, kibbles and bits? You talk about redlining. We know what that's all about, right? And they continue to do this. Why do you think they continue to do this to our community?
Well, let me first of all say they don't always give all of us kibbles and bits. There's some people that get substantial grants, so there are some people that do get that. I do think some of it is because of the ability to have your paperwork in order, the ability to have the right um, connections, the ability to be able to show your growth. I was able to do that, but still was not able to get the funding that I needed. But I was able to figure out how to build capacity around other resources and be creative. So racism has got a lot to do with that. I mean, we just, if you want to be bold about it and just be honest about it, there is a line there. There's still a racial divide when it comes to philanthropy and that kind of, when it comes to money and funding in our programs and services. We used to have after school programs or reduce crime in a big way in Minneapolis and St. Paul and around the communities. And if you think about after school programs, you don't hear much about them anymore. We used to have a lot of stuff going on with the park system for kids, a lot of stuff. We used to have more football teams, more basketball teams, more teams doing stuff around the community, and you don't hear much about that anymore. So we used to have a lot more going on, but as the prisons population grew and grew and grew, there was a prisoner pipeline system that had to play into that. Unfortunately, our educational system, we start putting our kids on Ritalin. You know, you get there's an extra chunk of money you get for the kid being on special education. And sometimes
Who
even the
who
parents
who?
will get a,
So who gets that extra chunk of money by their kids being on Ritalin? By our kids being on Ritalin, who gets that money?
So the school district, they get that. Okay.
Okay.
And then sometimes there is, in some cases, the parents might even get a little kickback on their check or certain situations. I don't want to speak
How's
about
how's
them
that
because
work? How does that work?
I
I've
don't.
never heard that before.
Yeah,
That
I
parents get a kickback on their check by their kids being on Ritalin. I've never heard that before.
now I've heard that happening in Kansas City. I don't know if it happens in Minnesota, so I don't want to speak on it and not have facts. Okay,
Wow.
but
Wow.
there are some benefits that happen in some cities if your kid is on special education for the parents. So there are some benefits. But the whole thing is that we put our kids on stuff when they like Seed Academy. That was one of the reasons why kids went to Seed Academy. They know how to teach our kids. They know how to teach our kids. And I talked to a lot of people that wanted to be teachers, but financially they couldn't. They had to pay their student loan back, and it was tough. So we ended up with more white teachers, not enough black teachers.
So you said there's a disparity in uh in in um in income or in salary between white teachers and black teachers?
Well, white teachers usually have another source where they get income. So they're usually, the husband can take the full weight and um, you can do what you love to do, honey. You love the kids. You can do that. I got everything else. We're good. Some of that. And then it's just some of the testing and some of the, just, you should bring somebody on an education, talk to you more about that, especially one that we got a lot of sisters in
We
Minnesota that
do.
could help you with that. Yeah, bring them on, talk about that. But there's a lot of disparities when it comes to education and a lot of work that needs to be
And then,
done.
and these are racial disparities.
Yeah, they are. And just,
Right. Mm.
and when you talk about my brother that's been working with black males and in the high school, bringing the black males' grades up. He's doing a great job. They decreased the funding on that program, and that program has created some of the best young black men out of school, um, and so
And
we
so
got
why
to
did they
look at.
decrease the funding? If it's a program that's working for black males, why would they decrease the funding?
They say budget cuts. Budget
Hmm.
cuts. Something has to be cut, and
Wow. Wow.
we would have. If you ask them, they'll say, "Well, we had to cut something." Well, why would you cut something that's saving lives? That's saving young black men
Well,
when this is where
that's the answer to the
this
question, though, right?
right, right, absolutely,
Because what is this doing? It's saving black lives, right? It
absolutely.
was, and therein lies the answer to the question: is the fact that it's saving young black lives, and that's not something that the system wants to do. Is to save
Well,
young
I'll
black
tell you,
lives.
and we have to do a better job. Is I was riding the other day with my nephews, and on the way, me and my brother, my big brother, we in the front and they in the back. On the way, we listened to Marvin Gaye and old school. On the way back, they said, "Can we listen to our music?" And we said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." Well, when they played the music, before I got out, I stopped and asked a question. I said, "Nephews, how many of those songs would you play for your 7-year-old daughter or son if they were in the back seat?" And they looked at me and said, "Maybe one of them." I said, "Do you know the reason why you even like that music that talks about bees and hoes and guns and drugs? Do you know why you even like that?" I said, "Yeah, we like the beat and stuff." I said, "But do you know what it was really designed for?" I said,
Hmm.
"No." I said, "Well, it was designed because it wasn't enough of y'all going in the penitentiary when KRS-One was talking. It wasn't enough of y'all going in the penitentiary when Public Enemy was talking. So they had to change the direction, and they had to give you music that makes you want to pull up a gun instead of a book. Music that
Hmm.
makes you want to take some drugs and sell some drugs and pimp some hoes
Hmm.
and do something crazy in the community because they didn't want you smoking some wet, snorting some cocaine, because the music that was coming out was telling you that you was amazing, that you was great. But if you ever made a rap song talking about shooting somebody it didn't look like you, that's why you'll never hear a song like that. But you always hear a song about killing that brother or killing your op. Your op is not your brother, but that's what you're told in this music. And I said, did you learn anything? That's all. Because I wanted to hear. And they say, yeah, we learned something, that what we're listening to is poisoning our mind. And that even though when we hear your music, we cringe because we don't really get it. But when I hear your music, I cringe because I don't get it. So now we have a generational divide. I listen anyway because it gives me a platform to speak to you. I don't listen to because like, yeah, that's bumping. I listen because okay, all right. Tat tat tat, rat a tat tat. Yeah, shoot them up. Yeah, okay, all right. I'm gonna have a conversation about that. I'm gonna have a conversation about that, and that's what we need to do as men. Let's have a conversation about um, what we play for our kids, what our kids play for us. What are they listening to? Because in that music is what they begin to believe and think. And sure
Wow.
enough, even though a lot of Caucasians listen to that music, they still get master degrees. So they still build businesses. They just like that music, but they know that lifestyle ain't for them.
Right, right. Wow, that leads me to another question. There's so much more. I mean, we got only a few minutes left, man, and I got to have you back because I want to continue so much. You said a lot, and I want to really just target a lot of what you said. But I want to, as we move on and getting close to the end of time, let me ask you this question. Given all of what we've been talking about so far, what do you think is the most challenging thing now about being a black man in America?
The most challenging thing is the messages, the mixed messages that we give each other. Um, when I left the organized crime, when I left the black mafia, um, I decided I wanted to be unified because I realized how unified we were in the black mafia. We're unified. We
Mm,
unified, man. Only thing that would mess you up, you mess some money up, you mess with somebody's grandma, you mess with somebody's sister, you do something that would divide us. We don't play with none of that. We don't disrespect. You don't do none of that. Other than that, we were unified. When a body said we're gonna do something, we did it. And so I took that mentality, brought that with me to the nonprofit sector and the work that I was doing in the community. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is in the nonprofit
mm,
sector. Unfortunately, that's not how it is. Um, and and you have to make sure you divide the way you feel. Like back then, there was a certain way I handled stuff, and I couldn't handle that being saved and being a man of God. I couldn't handle it the way I would have handled it in the streets. I couldn't handle it like that. So I had to be humble and take some hits, you know, take some hits, man. Take some hits because I couldn't be like that. I really wanted unity. I wanted everybody to be unified. And I found it to be very hard to strategize, bring people together because it really wasn't we weren't doing it for the movement. We were doing it for we wanted to be the main man
mm.
on the mic. We want to be the main person. Uh, who asked you? Who called you? Who made you this? Well, God made us, and if God puts you on a level, that's what you at. So a little bit of that I brought back in terms of my courage. I brought that in with me. I kept that my courage, my determination, my my fearlessness, not to be afraid ever of the streets or nobody with a gun, nobody. I still don't have that fear. But the God part is like I ain't about retaliating. I ain't about getting you back for whatever you did. I'm not about that. I let God handle all my business right now, and I let Him do whatever He's got to do to make sure that I'm okay. And so far, it's been working out. It hurts sometimes to hold stuff back in when you want to say something, but I've learned that if you do that, you let go and let God, it works out.
So you saying the most challenging thing about being a black man is we're disunified, our disunity?
For me, I'm talking
Okay.
to me. For me,
Oh, of
is that
course. Yeah, this is about
yeah,
your
yeah,
opinion. Yeah. Yeah.
yep. So
Okay.
So coming from a world of criminal, I thought when I got saved, when I got baptized, uh, Shiloh Temple International Ministry, I thought when I got baptized that that meant that I was on the side of people that were, we're going to do this thing right. And so I didn't know because I never came to the God side. I never flip flopped and played games. I was over there. I'm over there, you know.
But
And
earlier you said you were in the middle of your criminality. You were attending church on a regular basis, is what it sounds like to me.
no, no, I didn't attend church on a regular basis. What happened? I got saved, and once I got saved, man, I stopped. I stopped
Yeah,
altogether.
because I thought earlier in our conversation you said you were in criminality and then you were going to church and the pastor gave you keys to open up the church or something like that,
Yeah, I was on
right?
the run then, so I wasn't doing nothing wrong. I was on the
I
run.
got you. Okay, so you were on the run during that time and you were going to church while you were on the run.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
when
And the
after
pastor
that I never
trusted
went
you.
back.
Okay. All
Pastor
right. All
trusted
right.
me. Yeah,
As
yeah.
thank you, brother. I know there's a lot more. There's a lot more, man. We could talk about, and I want to go there. I just want uh,
The book is coming. The
as
book's coming.
right. As we close, as we end, what last final words would you say to brothers who are listening to you or watching this podcast? Would you say to them? What would you share with them that would encourage them? And also, what favorite quote or book or song, uh, um, that you want to share that motivates you, that keeps you going? Is there a favorite book? Is there a favorite song? Is there a favorite quote from someone that motivates you, that encourages you? And what final
Well,
words would you like to share with black men who are listening to us right now?
well, you took me off straight off my notes, but this book here has helped me out a lot, and it's called the Maxwell Leadership Bible. Man, a
Oh
great book.
wow! Oh
Yeah,
wow!
this book also local author Minnesota, which is called The Pastor of Hip Hop, Stacy Jones, The Pastor of Hip Hop. It takes you in the gap of hip hop. Also, the 66 blessings from Genesis to Revelation, T.D. Jakes. I love that. And then this book here, man, I was ready for you, wasn't I? Is The Black Gene Lies. It's the Slave Quarters Cures. It's a book that's pretty amazing. And here's the part I want to give my lesson. It says, if every black and white person in America were to follow the guidelines in this book, we would be able to eliminate high blood pressure, diabetes, community, and in America in just 90 days, and reduce and sing the old gospel song popularized during the civil rights movement by Martin Luther King. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, free at last. This book here. And so there's so much if we just read. And then two more books and I'll be done with you.
Oh yeah, go
T.D.
ahead, man.
Jakes. T.D. Jakes, The Black Crushing. God turns pressure into power. I've been able to turn my pressure
Mm,
into power. And then
mm.
Vance Jones, How We Came Apart and How We Come Together. So these are
Wow.
all books that I believe that have helped me and guided me. I have my own small library. And I believe if you read, and I'm not a great reader, so Audible saved my life. Audible because for some reason I get sleepy when I read, but Audible saved my life. So now I've got 300 books on Audible that I listen to and take notes because that's why I want to listen and take notes. I found out that's how I get all my wisdom. I take that wisdom and I pass it on. I pass it on to young people. You know, I believe this, James, and I listened to your brother, man. He's a very phenomenal. Listen to your brother on the other show, and he did a great job. He's a great young man, and he's actually your little brother. Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah.
but he's big. He's your big little brother.
He's
So I had a
he's
great
bigger than me,
time.
but he's younger than me. Yeah.
So, so I think he said some real powerful things too. But I think most of all, we need to learn. And I'll say this: this is the thing that's going to happen. We need to learn how to heal each other. We don't get enough healing. The
Hmm.
reason why black folks can't get along because we can't heal from the past. There's a lot of hurt. Here's what I found out.
Hmm.
Is that certain black people don't like certain other black people because they did something they shouldn't have done. They can't tell
Hmm.
it because if I tell it, then y'all know too much. So now I just
Mm-hmm.
can tell you I don't mess with him. I don't mess with
Mm-hmm.
her. We don't mess around. But there was never healing. The healing never
Mm-hmm.
happened. And so
Mm-hmm.
therefore, you got these folks over here that mess with these folks over here, and they never come
Mm-hmm.
together, and everybody said got their own reasons. Because we never came together in that circle and said, let's heal. Hey man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry what I did to you, man. I'm sorry I took that grant. I'm sorry I put your name in that grant. I took the money. I didn't give you none of the money, but I still left your
Mm.
name in that grant. And I did that. I'm sorry. I'm
Wow.
sorry, man, that I did whatever I did. We don't do enough of that. Until we do that, we're always going to have this secret of why we divided. We divided because you destroyed that brother or that sister, and you know you did that. And people know you did that, so they're not going to mess with you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Brother VJ. We got to have you come back, man, again. Would you be willing to do that?
I'll be willing to do that, brother, because I didn't get to none of the stuff on my list. You gave me some questions. I was prepared, and you just ran with it. You ran with it, So yeah, let's do that.
Right, right. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, audience, again for showing up for this episode of Yana. You've been listening to Yana, a space for Black men. I want to ask you to like my page and also subscribe to my page, Yana. You Are Not Alone by James Trice. We look forward to seeing you in space next time. Until then, remember, we're not meant to do life alone. Grace and peace. Yana is here for you. This is your space to connect, grow, and be heard because none of us are meant to do life alone.